This story begins in the Libyan desert, where a German officer had a revolutionary idea. He invented a technique for retreading old tires using a minimum of heat and pressure, which would make them as good as new ones. However, it was in fact here in the United States that the process was rarely developed. It is the practical experience of these truckers who drive in all kinds of weather on all kinds of roads, day and night, throughout the States, which has made it possible for Bandag to be what it is now. Bandag, something that started in 1957, 5 days before Christmas, has now become the biggest retreading concern in the US. Every day, Bandag is tested time and time again on the road, the toughest test ever conceived. Bandag itself is also testing again and again, every day. Test results are compared and are processed by computer afterwards. One example, a test on a wet, slippery road. Bandag proves yet again that its tires have superior road holding. The results of these tests have been controlled by the American Consumer Association. Bandags have a shorter braking distance. Again and again and again. This is only possible because of the unique Bandag process. The safety of every tire begins with its casing. And with Bandag, each tire that comes in has its casing thoroughly checked by a specialist. In the near future, the NDI, a computer-steered ultrasonic casing analyzer, will help out in this field. Once they have been checked, the casings are put on a buffing machine which removes the old rubber. The buffing machine will leave on as much rubber as possible and produce a smooth, completely regular surface. The cushion gum used to apply the Bandag tread is going to become the strong point of the tire. Through the unique cold process of Bandag and the special application technique, the adhesion between casing and tread is absolutely complete. After the tread has been applied, the tire is wrapped in plastic sheeting and covered by a rubber envelope. The rubber envelope completely encloses the tire during the curing process. The traditional type of steel envelope puts too much pressure on the casing, which can lead to serious distortion in the tire. Thanks to the unique Bandag system, the rubber envelope gives complete sealing. The tire is now mounted on a rim, which is very much like the normal kind of rim one would find on any car or truck. The tire is inflated to its normal pressure and then hung in the Bandag pressure chamber for curing and bonding. This takes place at a temperature no higher than that often reached by a tire in normal use. Using a higher temperature, for example, 100 degrees Celsius, can have very bad side effects for a tire, making it lose a lot of its elasticity, which can lead to shorter life and thus greater expense. There's a tire for every sort of job. Bandag works closely with truckers and drivers and profits from the day-to-day experiences of these people. In over 1,000 dealerships in more than 100 countries all over the world, Bandag dealers have an incomparable range of tread designs. This also means that Bandag can deal with any tire of any type and any size. Industrial tires can also be retreaded by the Bandag method. These men and women know what Bandag has to offer them. Bandags have a longer life. The density of the tread, combined with a unique cushion gum, have made the tires stronger than ever before, and they give complete satisfaction in all cases. For a trucker, this is very important. The density of rubber ensures less downtime, and Bandags will also give him safe braking and road holding second to none. Bandags can be trusted. Bandags do not only mean economy because they are cheaper than normal new tyres, but also because they equal at least the performance of even the best new tyres. Less downtime, more kilometers at a lower price. The gain is easily calculated. Bandags can be trusted completely. They are safe. And truckers all over the world are confident of that. Beat the Baja, one of the most difficult races in the US. At the start, there's Bob Seyfert with his Jeep number 352 on Bandags.
Start of the race.
Here, Bandag proves that its retreads are even a match for rock splinters. The Bandag retreads keep on going, mile after mile, until they finish. Weeks later, Seyfert uses these same retreads in another mountain race and finishes not only first, but also breaks the track record.
really held up great.
Daytona Beach, an endurance test for man and machine and for Bandag. This Corvette is on Bandags. In this race, Bandags proved their superior strength once again. While others had to change tires every 2 to 3 hours, the Corvette went all the way on the same set of front tires, and the back tires only had to be changed every 8 hours. Once more, despite the high speeds reached on this racetrack, the Bandags on the Corvette 22 have proved Bandags are completely reliable.
The same kind you can buy for your car. Bandag Retread. Take it from me. They've got a great track record.
If ever anyone has tested a tire to its extremes, it's Tyrone Malone. He turned his truck into an incredible race and tire torture machine. Enter the Super Boss. Under the hood of this 8-ton Detroit diesel, there is 1,000 horsepower. Malone expects the ultimate from this machine. Nothing less than to attack the world speed record for a diesel truck. accepted the challenge of the Australian Waltzing Matilda, a jet motor-driven truck that holds the world speed record for trucks. Just like the Waltzing Matilda, Malone's super boss is on Bandags. Malone proves his ability by beating the Australian truck that is potentially faster than the super boss. I chose Bandag before it chose me, says Malone, who is now sponsored by Bandag and will be showing what Bandag is all about during his European tour. In order to prove that Bandags can take a hard race without any difficulties, Malone adds some burnouts and 180-degree spins to his performance. Each ton of diesel truck is torturing these Bandags time and again, and the Bandag retreads love it. No slip, no burnout is too much for them. Malone proves that Bandags are reliable. He's so confident, in fact, that on his European tour, he's carrying only 2 spares. Bandag retreads, none are better.
Truckies are using Bandags in Australia as well, and now that I'm here, I guarantee you when I leave there'll be a lot more of them using them. To have this truck here in Australia is almost a miracle. I didn't think we'd get it here. We're ready to race. 15 minutes, put the wing on. We're gone. Watch out, the exhaust there will get you. Yeah. I always plan on winning, but sometimes you lose, and you have to be just as good a loser as you do winner to be in this game. This is the Eagle Force.
On behalf of the Recart group of companies and associated sponsors, I challenge you to a heads-up race, you guys. Next Sunday at Colomota Raceway, if you're prepared to pick up the gauntlet. Take the 2 of you guys to drive that truck, that's one for the other guy.
I'm betting you well enough. Listen, Darth Vader, or Larry, or Jet Truck, Waltzing Matilda, I suppose.
We will well past you, boy.
You're going to be back in Star Wars. You're going to be gone, Wars.
sight. 6 days on the road, and now we're all laying home tonight. I got me 10 forward keys and a Georgia overdrive. I'm taking little white pills and my eyes are open wide. I just passed me Jimmy White. I've been passing everything in sight. 6 days on the road, and now we're all laying home tonight.
Well, I think what you're going to do is challenge the loser and spot him, is what they're talking about yesterday, from each bracket, from the first 3 brackets. I'll take the inside and give him the outside. I can make the turn into the track and let him go straight, and his chutes will work longer. That if he coughed, this yank could get him, and he coughed. We'll have to give her another chance, That's what we'll do. You know, when you're up against another vehicle, if you're just making regular runs, qualifying runs, it don't mean as much. But when it comes down to all the marbles, and you're up against another vehicle, you get in the vehicle, you're watching the other guy, he's watching, you're trying to really freak one another out, and then you have to really keen yourself, that brake and the throttle and the whole deal, because those caution lights come down 0.4 of a second apart. They're fast. That can mean the difference of winning and losing, just that one caution light. If you can get away, just not get the red light, get that green. When he and I were there at the quarter-mile strip, I mean, I'm running 100 miles an hour. And, you know, he gained so much momentum, he had to be doing 110 or 12 when he passed that quarter, and I looked over and I seen that tire just smoking. I thought it was at first the jet or something. The wheel just locked up on it. And this has taken what we call co-process retread clear to the cord. This Bandag retread on this jet truck has slid clear to the cord, but it hasn't come off. Can you guys believe that? The compound that Bandag uses, and we've got the same compound that any trucker's using, only we don't have tread. But it really gives us the bite, it runs cool, and when that transmission shifts and that Detroit's running about 3,000 RPMs, those Bandags hold together for us. We haven't got a tread that's starting to loosen or anything, and all my 180-degree turns, and we're just very happy with it. And the guys that's right behind us are also running Bandags, I noticed, too. So I would say that the Bandag tire at the Australian-American Nationals is the big difference today.
This is one of the safest, most reliable, puncture-resistant, and above all, long-lasting tires in the world. It's not a new tire, not just a retread. It's a Bandag pre-cured retread. Bandag pre-cured retreads keep some very select companies on the roads, not only of Britain, but of over 100 other countries round the globe. In the USA, where cost savings and conservation are of paramount importance, Bandag has by far the biggest share of the truck market. The reasons for its success are basic and unbeatable. Bandags will consistently give 50% more mileage than any other retread tire. and at least equal the mileage of any new tyre. Moreover, a Bandag can be recut safely in addition to its initial mileage. Then there's safety and reliability. To Bandag, that's one word. Independently monitored tests at Manchester Polytechnic compared the physical properties of a Bandag against new tyres. Tear and adhesion strength. Puncture resistance and abrasion tests conclusively prove that Bandag can equal and surpass any other tyre, including new ones. The unique manufacturing technique by which Bandag has impressed itself as a label of quality throughout the industry begins with a unique service. The customer's own casings are collected and returned in a very short time. For the careful operator, this is a valuable bonus for careful maintenance and control. But for those in the haulage industry who tend to regard air as the most expensive item in their costings, there's nothing but sorrow. Because every casing that comes into the factory for retreading is rigorously inspected by well-trained staff. They reject up to 25% of all incoming casings. A compelling argument for good maintenance when you consider that this reject will cost its owner the price of a new tyre or that of a stock casing. Another sad example of penny wise, pound foolish. Careless recutting has rendered this casing unsuitable. Recutting really can be false economy. If you wish to recut, it's suggested that the recut takes place at the end of the Bandag's life. Don't forget, Bandag's COC service ensures you get your own casing back. On the buffing lathe, the tyre is inflated and trued up automatically. The result is a bonding surface accurately gauged to give a smoothly balanced and concentric casing on which to build. The machine measures and registers the precise circumference of the tyre for tread length. Now minor injuries are explored. This one is okay. And the area is immediately sprayed with a solution to prevent oxidization and promote bonding. After another inspection, the accepted casing is passed to the filling section, where specially formulated uncured filler rubber replaces the lost material. The blank patch is for the Bandag logo. It will also give the complete history of the tyre for reference purposes. Another evidence of Bandag care and technical planning. Unlike some other retreads, Bandag is pre-cured in precision-made steel molds under uniform heat and pressure to a higher than usual density. Each tread in the comprehensive Bandag range is individually tailored to size of casing and type of operation. The rotary knife gives not only a clean cut, but sands the edges for firmer bonding. Density, not hardness, imparts longer life, more even wear, more puncture resistance, and lower cost per mile. Another formulation unique to Bandag is the cushion rubber, which is stitched or consolidated to the tread. The cushion rubber is a unique formulation known only to Bandag. It's crucial to the process. It will become, after curing, the strongest component of the tyre. The joining of tread and casing via the cushion layer must be perfect. Only when it is can the tyre, equipped with a curing tube and a flexible envelope, be mounted on a two-piece rim. On the rim, the tyre will be inflated to operating pressure and cured in its working shape. The more heat you apply to a tyre, the weaker the casing becomes. The more pressure you apply, the more you distort the casing. These major disadvantages of the high-temperature, high-pressure conventional retread curing systems are utterly vanished by the Bandag process. The electrically heated, fan-circulated heating chamber operates at a mere 210 degrees Fahrenheit, well below the damaging 340 degrees Fahrenheit of hot retreading. And the flexible envelope shapes itself more closely to the tyre than would a rigid metal mold. The tyre is at 115 psi, and the chamber is set to a pressure of 85 psi. There's no possibility of distortion when the pressure differential is only 30 psi. The load will cure slowly and evenly for nearly 4 hours. At the end of that time, our perfectly bonded tyre can't fairly be called either new or a retread in the accepted sense. It demands a term matching its unique combination of qualities. It's a Bandag. As it goes through yet another quality control check, reflect on this. Every Bandag produced is a major saving in the world's raw materials as well as in your costs per mile. As the final inspection of operating pressures takes place, consider these figures. A new tyre costs the equivalent of 28 gallons of oil to produce. A Bandag takes only a quarter of that. And finally, a Bandag is much more than a cosmetic facelift job. When this one is in place, its toughness will contribute to save thousands of pounds per year on tyre costs. An internationally respected process with the major sector of the American retread market and a leading growing position in the United Kingdom, Bandag is aware of the backstreet image of the retread market of yesterday. That is why we have concentrated on service. To the fleet customer and to the distributor alike. That is why we're an active and leading member of the Trades Watchdog Association, the RMA. Each tread in the comprehensive Bandag range is individually tailored to size of casing and type of operation. Bandag will advise or just plain talk about any aspect of tyres and tyre maintenance. But above all, we supply the longest lasting, safe, quality retread on the market. It significantly reduces tyre costs. This company and its product have taken off, not on hot air, but on cold, pre-cured facts of high technology. There's really only one word for it.
Truckers out here, just a bunch of professional tourists.
What is the road, right? You know, we had to breathe, we had to eat, we had to build roads. But that road is taking, if you're on it, it's taking you somewhere, and the reason for it to be there is to take you wherever you want to go.
After a driver starts to feel at home on the road, and it takes anywhere from a few months to 5 or 6 years, a strange phenomenon occurs. The road becomes his home.
To a trucker, it's their home. I mean, this is where they spend most of their life.
The road is now as much a part of the driver as the tires are a part of the truck.
It's our way of life.
The phenomena, however, is never really noticeable to the driver until he tries to quit the road.
If I'm home more than a week, I start climbing walls. You know, if I'm around the same people, you know, I'm burnt out on it. You know, I just, I'm not happy. But it made me realize how happy I am out here. Because I'm more happy, I feel like I'm on a vacation out here. And when I was home for those 3 weeks, it was like a disaster.
This is Joe. And this is Kathy.
You only get paid for 1 break an hour.
Huh?
You only get paid for 1 break an hour. Come on.
Well, let me get back to loading the soda.
They move furniture together. It's a fall afternoon in St. Charles, Missouri, a suburb of St. Louis. They'll be loaded and ready to roll by sundown.
Want me to carry some in?
Yeah, give me them all.
Their destination, San Diego, California.
Truckers go back as far back as before Christ. Because that's what, you know, the world grew on. Of course, somebody had the desire to go somewhere else. And that's the trucker's frame of mind. And that's why I've watched, in 17 years, I've watched this country grow, Jack.
Joe has trucked over 2 million miles. He's been on the road now 17 years. The road has given Joe a unique insight into life.
That, you know, that person within me and within all of us. You know, life is constantly a challenge.
Continental weather for the professional trucker. Now the forecast for Interstate 94, daylight hours on Friday, should be cloudy from Detroit to Chicago.
Meet Ann and Howard. This will be their last run together. Ann's leaving to go back to farming in central Illinois. She's already admitted if she doesn't feel at home on the farm, she'll return to the road. Ann compares life in a truck to what she learned at college.
I found that you don't learn a whole lot of school at all. And in the few months that I drove coast to coast, I learned a lot more than I ever did in 3.5 years of college. What I'm saying is what I've learned out of trucking is that it teaches you no matter what phase there is. You're out there with the people, you're out there in the world. It's like college or even school, it's just a bunch of books. You can't put these people in books. You can put them in books, but they're not the same as being out there with them.
For Anne, the road has been her best teacher.
I don't know, you meet different people.
Howard doesn't talk a lot, even when he is with people.
It's hard for me to meet people because I don't know what to say to them, talk to them, you know?
But when he does open up, he has some interesting things to say.
You get a different outlook of life. Where a lot of people think the world owes them a living, and it don't. But you go down to New York City or L.A. or San Francisco or someplace, or these big cities, Chicago, them people there ain't never been out of that city their whole life. You ask them directions, and all they knew is their way to work and the way to get back home. Some of them don't even know that because they ride a bus.
Howard has been rolling across America better than 13 years. Most of his driving through those years has been alone.
Okay, I'm right in the middle of the Mississippi River. Bring it on.
I've seen everything, but you know, there's always something. You always learn something new every day. You always see something new every day. I can't stay in one spot. If I'm there more than a day or two, I'm an impatient guy. I can't stand sitting around. I like to travel.
Driving trucks is like any other job. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't, you know. I like it. I've met people who got jobs that don't like. I can't, if you got a job you don't like, I'd do something else. Life's too short.
A native New Yorker, Joe and his truck have an unusual claim to fame. They've been to Liberty Island.
Well, when I got the order, you know, I didn't understand it. You know, when United Airlines told me about it, we got a shipment at Liberty Island. You know, me being a New Yorker myself, you know, I knew that was the Statue of Liberty. Like right then, I said, wow, you know, I'm going out to the Statue of Liberty with my truck. I've never been to the Statue of Liberty. I lived in New York for 20 years of my life, I've never been there. And that was the first time I've ever been to the Statue of Liberty. And that's why, you know, it was really a heavy day for me, a heavy, trippy day. You know, it's just like I was on that barge and I was saying to myself, now I could say I've been everywhere with my truck. It's like I'm very, very proud of these pictures.
You know, we need another litter bag here. You know?
Kathy is a newcomer to the road. She's been trucking only 8 months, but already shows signs of being at home.
It's cold.
Well, put it back in the thing. Put the top on. I could never stay in one place all my life. When I was little, I used to run away. I never was settled. I guess I just like to be on the go, and I feel, like Joey said, I feel more at home here than in California in an apartment or in a home. I go crazy when I'm there more than a couple of days. I want to get back out on the road and go. It's just my kind of life. I enjoy the city to city, state to state. It's exciting. It's an experience that isn't just an experience anymore like it was in the beginning. It's a way of life.
I hope we're not going to be here all day waiting on the seat.
Did you find out about that order from the best ever? It's not here?
Meet Mike. Mike is a businessman in every sense of the word. Sometimes the pressure of business makes Mike moody, irritated, frustrated. When these feelings set in, the best medicine Mike knows is the road.
Yesterday, according to Roberta, and it's not on there, or it wasn't on there. It's just the fact that when you're sitting in an office or running a business, you know, things really get to where they hassle you. A lot of people like to go fishing or something like that, and I like to get out and drive. It's just you and...
There are times when the road and what might happen becomes a game. For Mike, this is what brings him out of his mood.
It's hard to say. It depends on the mood you had, you know, when you left, and road conditions, whether your mind's going to wander a lot or whether you're going to pay more attention to your driving. play a game of Smokey Bear all day, and you know, it's just a nice feeling. I really enjoy it. I really do. I'm glad it's, you know, it's something. I don't know if I'm the kind of person that could do it the rest of my life.
Oh, he took my picture. Hey, damn, boy, he took my picture. Hey, 6 point answer phone. Hey, 6 points. You got nightstick back there. You're westbound here. Oh, which way you taking pictures? We got a new truck. I'd like to check out the speedometer. Where are you right now? About the 12 3/4 westbound. I'm sitting right on 5. Try +4. Come back. Said +4. You're doing +2 right now.
Already this morning, many of the western suburbs moving into Chicago. Going to be mixed with sleet and freezing rain in the city.
Why it's hard for me to get up? I think I drive too much. I don't stop enough, like a lot of guys do. I run straight through usually, you know. I think if I stop more and rested more, I'd be okay, but I don't know. Like when I go home, man, I'm burnt out. When I leave Omaha, I stop Chicago, and I don't stop again until I get home.
Ann and Howard are no longer together. He's back on the road again, alone this time.
You never know what's going to happen. If you got a snowstorm now in Chicago, I'll probably get stuck in that.
Yes, I do it all alone.
Early morning riser.
Road conditions are the biggest challenge to a driver's ability.
In the wintertime, it's like when you, for the first time, after a complete summer, you know, it's like starting all over again. When you're in it, you know, like you say to yourself, wow, this is stupid, me trying to drive in this weather, you know. But you have to be, it's just like being on time, you know, schedule, you know, the truck's got to go through.
When I bought the tractor, they had 4 Bandags on the back and my drivers. And I was going to get rid of them because they were, you know, recaps. And then one of the guys told me that they were the best recaps, you know, especially for a snow tread design. The ones I had were going to be good for the winter. I got good wear out of them. I never peeled the cap off. Well, for one thing, you know, I'm an owner-operator, and I have to pay for my own tires. If the tire's half of the price and it's just as good as the other one, why pay the full price of a tire when you can get a good recap? They'll do the job just as good for the half of the price.
Yeah, we run a lot of retreads in the summertime. We got retreads on all our trailers. 10-4 Bandag does all of our recapping. Yeah, real good. I think about the best tire it is. I even got it set on my pickup truck.
There are a lot of reasons that more and more truckers are going to Bandag retreads for their rigs.
I think so. I think it's about the best tire we've got. We've tried Goodyear, Firestone, they don't hold together like these do. These stand the heat real good. We run these tubeless tires.
On a Sunday morning in Altus, Oklahoma, a Michelin tire dealer who also owns and operates a couple of rigs himself told us about Bandags.
Well, I think the Bandag is the best that money can buy, really. Well, I've run it for 10 years, and I've never had any problem with it. It's just, of course, you get at least a third more miles out of them as you will original tire. There's no doubt in my mind, because we've run them and had no problem there whatsoever. Of course, we run them on Michelin corks, but they still as good as I think that you can buy, honestly. I really do, because, well, everything on the truck that I run them on, the truck and trailer, we're using the Bandag recap, and just having fantastic service out of them, really.
Well, they're gonna put me in the movie, and they're gonna make a big star out of me. We'll make the scene about a man who's sad and lonely, and all I gotta do is act naturally.
I've got 130,000 miles on the back set. The front set I just changed, they probably got 50, 60,000 miles on it. I use a crossbar pattern, and it's been doing a good job for me, and price-wise, why, you can't beat a Bandag as far as I'm concerned.
The primary reason for any trucker to try Bandags was to save money. The saving, in many instances, was as high as 60%, and the performance and durability was equal to that of a brand new tire.
And all I gotta do is act naturally. Yes, all I gotta do is act naturally.
Wherever we found ourselves, at a truck stop in Phoenix or rolling into New York State, anyone who had used Bandag retreads all told us the same thing. Bandag retreads lived up to everything they were advertised to be, and many times, even more.
And I get maybe 125,000 miles, which for the price is not real bad money.
It's estimated that somewhere between 35 to 45% of truck drivers rolling down America's roads right now are doing it on Bandag retreads.
Well, you give me service. My business is delivering service, so the people I deal with, I got to get service from, because that's what I'm in, service. If I couldn't get any service with the tire, I wouldn't buy something else. Because every time this truck stops or I blow a tire or something, it costs me money. It costs the customer money. I couldn't stay in business unless I buy something that gives me some service, so this is why I use it.
We got 150 outfits, and that's about all we use is your caps, Bandag.
In this day and age of mass marketing, sometimes we become skeptical of advertising claims. These over-the-road drivers all at one time or another believed that retreads just wouldn't hold together. Bandag changed their minds permanently.
Eastbound just hit the ditch right across that bridge.
And the road do look like it should be getting slick.
Mike is rolling a 22-ton load on a solid sheet of ice. With these conditions, one mistake and you're done.
You bet, unless I have to stop real quick for something. She holds pretty good. I got about 22 ton on, so she'll hold down pretty good.
Strangely enough, situations like these are what bring drivers to life.
We got an Eldorado Cadillac at home. I'd rather drive this truck as I would it. Well, there's just a lot of women that just says, ooh, I would never do that. I'm 50 years old, and it makes me feel alive, not old. I don't feel a bit old. I mean, it's just like one great big television out there, you know, Interstate 80 or Interstate 70, one big television. And there's nothing like in the wee hours of the night when the moon's shining bright and bouncing off of the airplanes overhead. There's just no beauty. There's just no way to tell unless you experience trucking. I would have never missed it. I'm glad I found it. I really am.
If you're trucking as an owner or owner-operator, whether it's a single rig or a fleet, if you're ready to substantially cut your operating costs without sacrificing quality or increasing the risk of tire failure, then do what so many of America's truck drivers are doing. Use Bandag retreads. The road. To the men who drive it, the road becomes a teacher. It teaches you responsibility by frustrating you with problems. If you can deal with those situations, which range from breakdowns in the middle of the night, miles from nowhere, to running deadhead when you know you can't afford it, to find the will to drive 300 miles more when your body says stop. All of this and more, 1,001 things are waiting to happen out on the road. The men who make it, who are able to deal with it all, gain something. What he gains is a spirit that through it all, he finds a way to keep going and get there. They call those men truckers.
Who knows, we may be on TV next week.
The headlights are cutting the fog on a midnight highway. 40 tons are driving through the dawn. There's a Blue Ridge Mountain sunrise filling the mirrors, and the ashtray's full, the coffee's almost gone, and the trucker's heading west to Colorado, passing the miles with his friends on the CB coast. And tonight's a truck stop somewhere out in nowhere, and tomorrow's the wind and the open road. And I believe he's gonna drive that rig to glory with his 8-track blasting out country song. And I believe I feel the freedom in his story. Riding that diesel one, chasing that long white line, dropping that load on time, and he's going home.
You can see the silhouette of his rig on the eastern horizon, running west with the morning sun as it breaks across Iowa, and you'll see him moving on against that same old sun as it sets behind Big Wyoming at nightfall. He's driven I-80 so many times that he can't even remember, and there's hardly a mile along the way that isn't familiar to him. He's been over the roads from Canada to Mexico and from New York to California, and he's crossed enough state lines to start his own private country. Fighting sleep, the glare of the sun, and the loneliness of another day away from home, he moves on to get another load to market in another distant city. He's concerned about a lot of things, like a lot of other good folks who care about the future of America. Things like the price of gasoline, the payments on his tractor, and just feeding his own family back home. He may not look or act like the guys on TV that portray his image, and he's for sure got a lot more going for him than most truck driving songs have ever given him credit for. He's the gutsy son of a gun who puts the wheels under American industry to see that it all gets somewhere in a never-ending race with time. It takes courage and a lot of character to climb up behind the wheel of that diesel and roll 80,000 pounds of danger down that highway. He lives up there in that tractor, matching his skills forever against the hot desert highways and icy mountain passes. A mistake can be fatal, and he rolls on with a great awareness for the safety of all who travel his world. Yes, he's the American trucker, and he lives for a warm cup of coffee, a wave from a friend, and for that big turnaround at the end of the line to take him back home again to smiling faces and a little happiness.
He's rolled that rig from Maine to Arizona, from Portland all the way to San Antonio. He's always riding with a buddy he calls lonely. He's been a little bit of everywhere but home, and I believe he's gonna drive that rig to glory, with his 8-track blasting out a country song. And I believe I feel the freedom in his story, riding that diesel wine, chasing that long white line, dropping that load on time, and he's going home. Yeah, he's rolling home.
What are you driving? We'll be driving 18 wheel flatbed. How's it looking over your shoulder westbound?
For years, Bandag has given truckers a break on tire costs. Bandag supplies a premium performance retread so dependable, it'll amaze you in helping to reduce your truck tire maintenance costs. Every day, millions of Bandag retreads are crisscrossing the United States and the entire world, doing their job and doing it well. Today, 1 out of every 3 retreads and 8 out of every 10 pre-cured retreads are Bandag. Why? Because they work. They really do give the lowest cost per tire mile. It's that simple. Your Bandag dealer has the retreading system, the committed and trained people, the service, and the product to meet your tire needs professionally. You've got a tough job. Bandag has the tough retreads. Find out now why Bandag retreads are different from any other in the world, and what it can mean to you in lower tire costs.
This story of a race so tough, out of 350 entries, scarcely 100 finished. In 1973, Bob Siebert of Colorado Springs, along with co-driver Bill Loughran, was one of the few who did finish. He did it on Bandags, the retread so rugged, it proved to the whole world that Bandag beat the Baja. Ensenada, Mexico. In the heat of summer, it drowses beneath the sun. A mile-wide tide wrinkles along Ensenada's beach, then disappears into the sand. Overhead, gulls sweep the salt sea air. And in town, women sweep away yesterday, while Ensenada gets ready for another day of sun and sea and quiet streets. Then it happens. Motors roar, tires scream, flags snap. It's race time. Baja 500 times. Ensenada goes electric with excitement. This year, the talk's the same as in years before. Have you seen Parnelli Jones? Which car belongs to Howard Hawks? What time's Mickey Thompson scheduled to start? But some talk's different. Like, did you hear Bob Sievert is driving on retreads this year? Yep, word's out. Sievert's going to try to beat 610 miles of the roughest off-the-road racing course in the world on retreaded tires. Why? To prove Bandag retreads could compete against, even outperform, the expensive new tires that well-known companies were testing at Baja and other races around the world. Bandag already knew they had a world-beater tire. They'd put it through brutal endurance tests at their multi-million-dollar research and development center in Iowa. They had it endurance tested in Pecos, Texas, at one of the world's toughest test tracks. And the way Bandag tread took punishment and kept coming back for more amazed the tough-minded professionals who tortured it. When it came to traction, those same Texas track professionals were again amazed when Bandag microsight tread beat out the tire rated by a consumer magazine as the nation's top traction new tire. And the Highway Safety Research Institute at Ann Arbor, Michigan, had also proved that on ice and snow, Bandag microsight tread took second place to no one. Sure, Bandag knew they had a world-beater tire, but did the world know it? The world would know it when Sievert put 4 Bandags up against the toughest race course in the world. Late in the afternoon of June 6th, Sievert pulls his 4-wheel drive Jeep into tech inspection. Lights. Everything is in order. Sievert's Jeep is impounded for the night along with the hundreds of other entrants. Tomorrow, they'll leave the starting ramp exactly 1 minute apart, starting at precisely 10 a.m. Only about a third of the vehicles will finish the following day. The town settles down to wait the start of the race. The 73 Baja is underway for Bob Siebert and Bill Loughran in number 352. They'll hit over 100 miles an hour on their way to the first of 6 checkpoints. This is one of 351 vehicles that started the race ahead of the Bandag team, reporting at checkpoint 1. At each checkpoint, the car must stop as a National Off-Road Racing Association official records the car's number and places a sticker on the windshield. If you miss a checkpoint, you miss the race. As drivers cut across country to checkpoints 2 and 3, the Baja will throw every kind of challenge at them, their machines, their tires. They'll be fighting boulders, razor-sharp rocks, and bone-dry creek beds where wheels spin and tires spit gravel as drivers try desperately to pick up valuable time before nightfall. In the mountains, what little road there is becomes unforgiving as Siebert races toward checkpoints 4 and 5. As Siebert's powerful headlights cut the darkness, his engine screams across the valleys and echoes off the rocks beyond. By daybreak, the mountains are behind. As day wears on, Siebert moves into the flats of Diablo Dry Lake. 120-degree temperatures brood over this monstrous basin, while whirlwinds the Mexicans call dust devils ride like 20-foot banshees over the scorched desert floor. Siebert continues to streak toward the finish line. A lot of new tires have failed by this time, but Siebert's still on the same 4 Bandags he started with. As expected, the race took its toll. There were no deaths this year, but the punishment to men and machines was excruciating. Here's driver Bob Siebert talking about Bandag's superior performance in a post-race interview. Well, now this year, 73 was the 5th running of the Baja 500. How many times have you run it?
Well, this is my 2nd time. I ran it about 2 years ago, and I placed 4th in it then. And then I raced the Mexican 1000 4 times, and I was fortunate enough to win it in my class in 1969 and 70.
This year, mechanical breakdowns robbed Siebert of over 9 hours of his running time, but he still finished within the 24-hour official time limit. Did finishing give him satisfaction?
Oh, yeah. Sense of accomplishment to finish any of these long races.
Unlike the Indianapolis 500 or other races of that type, you don't have a pit where you can drop in and get help, do you? You have to kind of improvise when you're out there in the badlands of Baja.
Yeah, that's half the battle, is learning or knowing how to improvise. And the checkpoint average 80 miles apart, so if any trouble happens when you're between these 2 checkpoints, well, you're just strictly on your own.
What kind of tires were you running on?
We were running the Bandag retreads.
Retreads?
Right, retreads.
Well, now, I suppose to a lot of people, the thought of using retreads in this arduous kind of a race is a little unusual.
Well, it might be unusual, but they worked very well for us. They really held up great because we have used the tires just more than what any average person could ever have used them in a lifetime. We did in 24 hours, I think.
In looking over the car and the tires, I notice these slits in the tires. What are they called and what are they all about?
Well, this is what they call their microsight. And it's just hundreds of little edges that get a hold of the road. And they really work good for cornering, side bite, stopping, and traction. They're really great. I really think it's the greatest thing because I could really tell the difference.
Were you microsiped all the way around, all 4 tires?
No, we just run the microsipes on the rear this time. But next time we're going to run the microsipes all the way around.
That next time turned out to be 4 weeks later. at the second oldest auto race in the United States, the Pikes Peak Hill Climb. To prepare for the race, Siebert rebuilt with a new engine and a new transmission. And as he predicted, this time all 4 of his Bandags are microsite. Siebert is confident of his victory. Where you win the Pikes Peak race is in the turns, the W's, the tight 180s. All-time record for a utility vehicle in the Pikes Peak race is 14 minutes, 32.3 seconds. From the way he's going, Siebert is obviously trying to break that record. Did Siebert do it? Yes, it's a new Pikes Peak record, 13 minutes, 41.03 seconds. An all-time record for utility vehicles in the second oldest auto race in the nation. But at the Baja 4 weeks earlier, I asked Siebert about the feel of microsite Bandags at high speed.
Yeah, they work very well at high speeds. On part of the race course, there's a dry lake called Diablo. And it's probably 10 miles across it, and it's just flat as a table. And it gets, well, the day we went through there, it was probably 120, 25 degrees. And we went through there in excess of 100 miles an hour. And the car just went great, and just no problem, just went straight as a string, you might say.
It's what you call flat out, huh?
Flat out, right.
Well, of course, the flat section of Lake Diablo, which extends, as you say, for 10 miles or so, is a sharp contrast to the interior roads of Baja. What are they like?
The interior roads are very, very rough, very rocky. The tires are, it's just amazing the abuse that the tires take bouncing over these rocks. And the thing is, there's no brake. It's just constant for mile and mile and mile. And our tires held up great. We started and finished on the same 4, which is almost a record with any tire.
Well, now, when you say that, you do so with pride. Do most of the drivers do it differently?
Well, there's certain ways of doing it, but a lot of the drivers are able to have people at checkpoints which have a supply of tires for them. Plus, most everyone carries 1 or 2 spares with them.
Now, you talked about the rocks and the boulders and the abuse that this terrain gave the tires. Being there, I also observed many areas of sharp gravel. This has to be tough on a tire, too.
All right, it's really tough. It's down there, a lot of that gravel is lava rock, too, and that's just like razors, and it'll just cut a tire to pieces. But our tires, they held up real good.
Well, you ran Bandags in the Baja 500 of 73, and how do you feel about Bandags your next time out?
I think Bandags are really great. They've done a heck of a good job for us. You couldn't ask a tire to do the job that they've done for us.
You think that Bandag beat the Baja, huh?
You bet. Any tire that can beat the Baja has got to be one great tire, and our Bandags that we run really did.
The Baja broke the front axle of Siebert's car, tore the front drive shaft loose, and ripped through the transmission fluid pan. He had over 9 hours of equipment breakdown time.
But our Bandags really held up great.
It's over now. The quiet seeps back into Ensenada. Ocean rollers wrinkle along the beaches and disappear into the sand. The town lies sleeping in the sun as girls sweep away yesterday. And Ensenada readies itself for another day of sea and sun and noiseless streets.
Getting retreads on the road is what Bandag is all about. To do that, you have to reach your customers with the Bandag story. Some of your customers can be reached with conventional sales techniques, but others must first see the unique Bandag process before they will buy. They need a chance to discover the value of the Bandag product firsthand. The best way to give these customers first-hand experience with the Bandag process is by holding a Bandag Truckers Open House. The Bandag Truckers Open House attracts an audience of local tire users to which you can sell yourself, your employees, your service, and your products. The open house is often the equivalent of 200 to 300 commercial calls in a single day, maybe more. Jerry Bauer, co-owner of Bauer Built in Durand, Wisconsin.
Well, the main benefit, of course, is to generate increased sales volume, we feel here. But it does more than just generate increased sales volume. It creates customer goodwill. It gives you a chance to bring together a group of people at one time and get a message across to you, which saves time in lieu of going out and talk to each one of these people on an individual basis.
A tire retreading business like we're in, we need constant repeat business. And in order to obtain constant repeat business, we need customer exposure. And an open house like this gives us excellent exposure. And Bandag being the quality image that it is, we find this as a very strong point to contact some of our existing customers and also to acquaint us with new ones.
The successful Truckers Open House generates sales, lots of them. It also projects your name into the marketplace where it belongs. It spreads goodwill, which always benefits your business. And there's an added benefit. An open house is a good employee morale booster. It recognizes your employees who play key roles in the event. Sounds good so far, but is an open house really effective, or is it merely a gimmick? In a recent survey of Bandag dealers who have held open houses, 90% said their open house was well worth the time, money, and effort. In fact, 80% said their open house was so successful they would be holding another within the next 3 years. And here's the topper. 90% said their open house was an excellent retread sales stimulus. There's no doubt about it. The Bandag Truckers Open House produces results. Neil Nelson of Nelson Tire Company, Portland, Oregon.
I would consider it a very good success, yes. I think total we've had 200, we're looking at probably 300 total people coming through our shop today. Yeah, that's good exposure. We sent out 500 invitations, 300 people. I think that's pretty good response.
When you hold an open house, you can expect the total support of Bandag Incorporated during all stages of planning and execution. The support begins with a proven method for organizing, conducting, and capitalizing on your open house. The method is explained in this brochure, the Open House Planning Guide. The planning guide spells it all out down to the last detail, from initial planning and scheduling to selling the contacts developed at the open house. But the planning guide is only the beginning of Bandag's support and follow-through. When you hold an open house, your district manager and other Bandag personnel will be there to personally assist you. The district manager will familiarize you with the whole package of promotional items designed for the open house, including films, slides, newspaper ads, envelope stuffers, point-of-purchase displays, brochures, and giveaways. And he'll help you schedule a key attraction for your event, like Tyrone Malone and his $1 million truck display.
These Bandag open houses are definitely very important to you as a dealer. To you as someone who's looking for a large crowd for exposure to your commercial customers, and the new people that don't know about Bandag. A Bandag open house with Tyrone Malone is one of the best things I think you can do.
Malone is a proven draw and guarantees excellent attendance, but must be scheduled far in advance. Plus, Bandag co-ops the cost. What do dealers think about Bandag's support for the open house?
Bandag certainly helped me a lot, gave me a lot of ideas. The Super Boss truck and the Bandag Bandit coming out, you know, that's a nice drawing card. Bandag, of course, co-ops the program, which takes a lot of the financial burden off us. The first one we had was without Tyrone, but this last one with Tyrone is excellent. It's doing a fantastic job, far beyond our expectations. We really never imagined that it could be as good as it is with Tyrone.
The support is all there. The planning guide, professional assistance, promotional items, key attractions, and a co-op program. But success requires careful planning and lots of it.
Well, first of all, I'd start thinking about it maybe 6 months ahead of time. Give yourself a lot of time for preparation. Because there are a few things we could have done a little different if we'd start a little bit earlier.
After you have arranged a date for your open house, the district manager will help you compile the all-important invitation list. Invitations with return replies are sent out at least a month before the open house. Guests who do not accept promptly are systematically phoned and urged to accept. Telephoning is one of several follow-ups that spell the difference between a fair and an outstanding event.
Anyway, I wanted to remind you, tomorrow we're having an open house. You got the invite all right. Okay, now it starts at about 11 or 11:30, and is wound up.
Current Bandag customers are, of course, invited, but the open house is not merely a party for the dealer's good customers.
There's a number of things involved with an open house. One thing we'd like to do is get a good mix between non-Bandag customers and Bandag customers. That way, the Bandag users will sell the non-users. You know.
During the planning phase, meetings should be held with employees to explain the objective of the open house, to announce the schedule of events, and to assign individual duties. Shop tour guides are appointed. Retread shop cleanup is an important part of the preparation. The whole shop should participate. It is put up and set up time, and everyone is involved, including the Bandag district manager. A well-planned open house means that when your customers and prospects finally arrive, you will put your best foot forward. Arriving guests are asked to register. Registration creates involvement. A registered guest belongs, if only for the duration of the open house, and most people like to feel part of a larger group experience. Registration also provides you with a valuable list of prospects, which can and should be followed up in the weeks beyond the open house. After registration, your shop tour guides take small groups on a tour of the shop, where your personnel explain the various aspects of the Bandag retreading process and answer questions. This tour convinces your guests of the uniqueness of the Bandag product and of its potential value to him. Then your Bandag district manager will give your guests a complete sales presentation and cover all the features and benefits of the Bandag retread product. Refreshments follow the sales presentation, and often the event is topped off with the announcement of door prize winners. This schedule must be adjusted to suit the needs of the individual dealer, but every element contributes to the main effort of generating sales and building better relations within the dealership and between the dealer and the tire purchasing public. When the open house is over, the real work begins, the work of converting leads into sales. Each new contact must be sold. Current users must be resold and thanked for attending. The Bandag Open House allows your customers to see firsthand why your products and services are clearly superior. You have their full attention and ample time to create a good image for yourself, your retread technicians, salespeople, service, and the Bandag product. Your open house costs money, effort, and time. It involves careful planning and rigorous follow-up. But it will pay off for you, as it has for so many other Bandag dealers.
It creates customer goodwill.
And an open house like this gives us excellent exposure. I would consider it a very good success.
A Bandag open house with Tyrone Malone is one of the best things I think you can do.
Would you spend $10 to make 20? Of course you would. It's just good business. Contact your district manager. Pick up your copy of the Open House Planning Guide. Plan now for substantial new business, increased reorders, and a better public image by holding your Bandag Open House.
The 24 Hours of Daytona. It's one of the toughest endurance races run anywhere in the world. You'll hear Daytona mentioned whenever people talk racing, along with names like Le Mans, Sebring, Watkins Glen, Atlanta, the races that really put cars and men and equipment to the test. The 24 Hours of Daytona, where you'll find machines that can go from 0 to 100 miles an hour and back to 0 all in 12 seconds. Where engines turn over 6,000 revolutions per minute, where cars hit close to 200 miles an hour on the straightaways, speed the length of a football field in just 1 second, where cars have to average 100 miles an hour just to keep up in this demanding 24-hour race. It's where tires actually grow an inch to an inch and a half in diameter as they accelerate, where tire tread gets so hot you can't lay your hand on it. This is the World Championship for Makes, a grueling endurance race that can throw more at a car and its driver in 24 hours than other races throw at them in a year. No wonder 42 of the 72 entries won't be able to take the punishment. You don't have to be good to survive the 24 Hours of Daytona. You have to be superb. And this car, number 22, a $35,000, 640 horsepower Corvette, made racing history on the 3.8 4-mile track at the Daytona International Speedway. For the first time, the Daytona track felt the bite of retreaded tires. The first retreads ever to qualify and race there. Their name, Bandag. But let's begin at the beginning. The day before the big race, more than 40,000 people begin gathering at the track. People of all ages, shapes, and sizes. While the crowd was still pouring in, our history-making number 22 Corvette with the Bandag retread was on the course making practice runs. And then in the final practice session, it happened. A serious engine problem. Did the team expect this kind of trouble? The answer came back. On this track, you expect anything. The team captain of number 22 is Denny Long. Finished in the top third of his field in Sports Car Club of America competition in 1975, racing on Bandag retreads. And he also took second place at the American Road Race of Champions. Alternating with Long is Bill Jobe, winner of both the 1973 and 74 SCCA National Championships at Road Atlanta. Completing the team is Tim Stardom, a 1975 SCCA Divisional Champion and a previous third-place finisher in the National Championships. The team expects to pick up valuable time in the pit stops. According to Long's strategy, the two Bandag retreads on the rear won't have to be changed until the race is 12 hours old, or halfway through. And the Bandag retreads on the front, Long expects to run the full 24 hours with no change at all. On standard new racing tires, this kind of endurance is unheard of. Other drivers will be changing tires every 4 hours, which means Long's competition has to be geared up for a lot more time-consuming tire changes than he does. And since it takes 26 laps to catch up again after a 2-minute pit stop, the extra endurance of Bandag retreads over new racing tires could make a difference. Once into the race, the stress on men, machine, and tires grows. In this bank, Long will approach his top speed and the G-forces will double the strain on his tires. While Denny Long's Corvette weighs under 3,000 pounds at rest, the weight builds as he swings into the bank, and the car pushes against the Bandag retreads with more than 3 tons of force. Denny Long has now moved up 7 places from his 22nd starting position. Then, late in the afternoon, the car's engine begins to overheat. The crew replaces the water pump, but the problem's not solved. The car returns to the pits for a major repair. Hours later, Corvette number 22 heads back onto the track. It's now clear that Long's team has little chance to come in first, but that doesn't weaken the will to win. The track's still good and fast. And the Bandag retreads are holding up better than even Long had hoped for. With nightfall, the strain gets worse. Even the special headlights can't reach far enough ahead to keep up with the blinding 200-mile-an-hour speed. A hazard on the track will give a driver no time to think, only time for an immediate gut response to the danger. The cars race on through the night and into a new day. By dawn, Long's Corvette has about 1,000 racing miles on those Bandag retreads. Brand new tires, specially formulated for Daytona's rugged racing conditions, have come and gone. But Long's Bandag retreads hold and hold and hold. Later Sunday morning, Long's Corvette developed a transmission problem that couldn't be repaired, and car 22 was scrubbed. But not before it made racing history. For the first time ever, one of the world's toughest endurance races had been run on retreads, Bandag retreads. It was what Denny Long and his team had come to Daytona to do. As Denny Long said,
Bandag retreads outwore any tire I've ever raced. They had regular Bandag street treads, the same kind you can buy for your car. Bandag retreads. Take it from me. They've got a great track record.
remember the name, Bandag. It's going to change all your ideas about retreads.
Can you name the new kind of retread that set an all-time utility vehicle record at the Pikes Peak hill climb? That stopped 3.5 car lengths quicker from 35 miles an hour on wet, slippery pavement than the best traction new tire available? The only retread with patented microsiping, tiny traction slits that grip the road in any weather? Remember the name, Bandag. It's going to change all your ideas about retreads. Up until now, if you wanted to find out how rugged Bandag retreads are, you'd have to ask some of the largest trucking companies in the world, or jet aircraft operators, or off-the-road equipment operators, all people who rely on Bandag retreads for rugged, reliable service. But now, find out yourself by putting them on your own car and get new tire performance at a fraction of the price. Bandag. It's going to change all your ideas about retreads. This is the rocket-powered pollution packer, the world's fastest dragster. The crew is preparing for high-speed tire tests. The tires, Bandag retreads. That's B-A-N-D-A-G. A new kind of retread so tough, it can take blistering speeds up to 322 miles an hour. Now you can get race-proof Bandag retreads for your car. That driver is breaking a class speed record in the rugged Pikes Peak race. Can you name the tires that spelled out victory for him? B-A-N-D-A-G, Bandag, the new kind of retread. That driver is beating the Baja, and the tires on his racer are the toughest the Baja's seen in quite a spell. B-A-N-D-A-G, Bandag, the new kind of retread. In independent proving ground tests, Bandag retreads outstop the best traction new tire. So what's the last word in traction? B-A-N-D-A-G, Bandag, the new kind of retread. These patented tiny traction slits are microsipes. They squeegee wet pavement, grip the road. Only one tire's got them. B-A-N-D-A-G, Bandag, the new kind of retread. Remember the name, Bandag. It's going to change all your ideas about retreads. Can you name the new kind of retread that beat the Baja? 500 miles of tire-punishing rocks, gravel, and blistering desert at speeds up to 120 miles an hour? Bandag. Can you name the new kind of retread that set an all-time utility vehicle record over a twisting gravel road at the Pikes Peak hill climb? Bandag. Can you name the new kind of retread that stopped 3.5 car lengths quicker from 35 miles an hour on wet, slippery pavement than the best traction new tire available? Bandag. Can you name the only retread with patented microsiping, tiny traction slits that grip the road in any weather? The same retread that offers a written mileage guarantee from the manufacturer. This is no ordinary race car. It's the pollution packer, a rocket-powered missile designed for just one purpose, to blast down a quarter-mile drag strip faster than anything else on wheels. The crew is preparing for a high-speed tire test. The tires, Bandag retreads. That's B-A-N-D-A-G, a new kind of retread so tough it can take blistering speeds like this, where tremendous centrifugal forces try to tear tread from piecing. Let's watch as the car makes another high-speed run. The Bandag retreads, even at record-setting speeds of 322 miles an hour, they performed beautifully. Now you can get amazing, tough Bandag retreads for your car with race-proof performance. Remember the name, Bandag. It's going to change all your ideas about retreads. That driver is breaking a class speed record in the rugged Pikes Peak race. Can you name the tires that spelled out victory for him? B-A-N-D-A-G, Bandag, the new kind of retread. That driver is beating the Baja, and the tires on his racer are the toughest the Baja's seen in quite a spell. B-A-N-D-A-G, Bandag, the new kind of retread. In independent proving ground tests, Bandag retreads outstop the best traction new tire. So what's the last word in traction? B-A-N-D-A-G, Bandag, the new kind of retread. These patented tiny traction slits are microsipes. They squeegee wet pavement, grip the road. Only one tire's got them. B-A-N-D-A-G, Bandag, the new kind of retread. Remember the name, Bandag. It's going to change all your ideas about retreads. Can you name the new kind of retread that beat the Baja? 500 miles of tire-punishing rocks, gravel, and blistering deserts at speeds up to 120 miles an hour? Bandag. Can you name the new kind of retread that set an all-time utility vehicle record over a twisting gravel road at the Pikes Peak Hill Climb? Bandag. Can you name the new kind of retread that stopped 3.5 car lengths quicker from 35 miles an hour on wet, slippery pavement than the best traction new tire available? Bandag. Can you name the only retread with patented microsiping, tiny traction slits that grip the road in any weather? The same retread that offers a written mileage guarantee from the manufacturer. This is no ordinary race car. It's the pollution packer, a rocket-powered missile designed for just one purpose, to blast down a quarter-mile drag strip faster than anything else on wheels. The crew is preparing for a high-speed tire test. The tires, Bandag retreads. That's B-A-N-D-A-G, a new kind of retread so tough it can take blistering speeds like this, where tremendous centrifugal forces try to tear tread from casing. Let's watch. As the car makes another high-speed run, the Bandag retreads, even at record-setting speeds of 322 miles an hour, they performed beautifully. Now you can get amazing, tough Bandag retreads for your car with race-proved performance. Remember the name, Bandag. It's going to change all your ideas about retreads.
From the hot sands of Arizona and California, along the freeways of America, to the busy streets of the city, light truck owners are discovering what the nation's heavy trucking industry has known for years. Bandag retreads are the most reliable, economical tire value on the market. Now, Bandag is making new believers with tough treads for light trucks. Forget everything you've heard about retreads. Bandag retreads are different. They're different because years of Bandag research has produced a tough, long-wearing tread that is permanently bonded to the casing in a curing process that won't damage the tire casing. Unlike conventional retreads, the Bandag tread is pre-cured before being applied to the casing, so there's no danger of weakening the casing belts and plies during the curing process. With the Bandag process, air is forced out of the rubber compounds. This results in a dense, long-wearing, hard-to-penetrate tread that delivers thousands of miles of carefree driving cross-town or cross-country. Proof of Bandag retread reliability was graphically illustrated at the Parker 400 off-road race in Arizona, where co-drivers Jack Lee and Wayne Schmidt raced their Bandag retread-equipped Datsun pickup through the desert.
This particular truck will probably run around 100, and it's unforeseen coming around a corner. There might be a large rock there or a hole, and you just plow right through it. We have bent rims on this truck, and yet have never damaged a tire.
The rocks and the sharp terrains, the drop-offs we have, you would think that a tire would give out. I just had my tire man tear these all down and inspect them, and he said they're perfect, put them back together. So I did.
Lee and Schmidt ran that same set of tires in 5 different off-road races. From the 130-degree heat of the Baja 1000 to the punishing Parker 400, their Bandag tough treads never failed.
takes more than physical endurance to run the world's rockiest race courses. It takes money. For Schmidt and Lee, that was one more reason to run on Bandag retreads.
The price of them is what makes them so nice. You can put a set on for half the price of something else, and it doesn't cost you an arm and a leg. You can afford to put more tires on if you need them, but so far I haven't needed them.
In addition to economy, reliability, and toughness, the Bandag retreads on Lee and Schmidt's pickup delivered an extra edge of traction, stability, and maneuverability that comes from Bandag's patented system of applying tiny traction slits to the tread. Called microsipe, the slitting process allows the tread to flex during starts, stops, or acceleration, so the tiny edges created by the slits can grip the road for increased traction. When cruising, the microsipe edges act as a unit that walk over the road, but flex individually on uneven surface to reduce heat stress. On wet roads, the microsipe edges act like squeegees to wipe the road dry and improve traction. That microsipe traction superiority is no more apparent than at the automotive proving grounds in Pecos, Texas, where independent engineers test new and retreaded tires for the country's major tire manufacturers. There, the track engineers use Bandag microsipe retreads on the vehicles they use to pull the tire test sleds.
We use them when we run our very slick surface, which has an 8 skid number, which is very close to that of ice. And we use these tires because they help us maintain stability on this very slick surface of the test vehicle. The tire that's locked up, of course, is on the trailer itself, and it will tend to yaw slightly when you lock the wheel up. And to allow the truck to stay in a straight ahead position, well, we use these Bandag microsipes.
To prove their amazing performance characteristics, Bandag microsipe retreads were also tested in Europe on a frozen lake in northern Sweden. In fact, these retreads are tested all over the world to ensure high performance on any surface under any conditions. While race drivers and tire testers put unusual stresses on tires, the real test of a good tire comes with daily on-the-road use. For Bandag retreads, that test comes from commercial truck tire users like Jerry Bordes, the fleet manager for the Mary Ann Bakery in Chicago. The Mary Ann fleet of 220 delivery trucks logs more than 8,000 miles a day on Bandag retreads. According to Bordes, the switch to Bandag retreads means a significant improvement in tire performance.
I had no knowledge of the Bandag tire before I went into the process. It was a trial and error. The one process I was using, I was experiencing a lot of malfunctions, peelings. I talked it over with the Bandag salesman, and we put a few on the trucks for a test. Driver acceptability was fantastic, had excellent traction. My breakdown time decreased by almost about 90%.
While Bandag light truck retreads work hard on busy city streets, they're also built to work hard on back roads and rough terrain. Bandag commercial traction retreads are working hard for people like Iowa cattle and grain farmer Don Walter. Walter chose Bandag retreads over new snow tires for his four-wheel drive pickup and finds Bandag gives longer wear, good traction, and a quieter ride on gravel roads, highways, and in the field.
But I live 5.5 miles from any town, and it's all gravel road driving, and that's tough on tires. They're real good, yeah. As far as I can tell, they're as good as any other snow tire, plus they do run longer.
Rural roads and farm fields aren't the only out-of-town places where Bandag retreads for light trucks deliver superb performance. RV owners, who on the average log more than 8,000 miles a year on and off the road, have found that Bandag retreads give them superior tire performance. Few recreational vehicle owners can claim as much experience behind the wheel as 85-year-old Otto McLean. McLean says he has driven his RVs more than 100,000 miles since his retirement from the insurance business. Before he tried Bandag retreads, McLean says he was buying new tires like popcorn.
Now with this Bandag retread, I can
have them retreaded, and I can honestly say that they're better balanced after the retread than the new ones that you buy from the dealer. It's almost unbelievable that you can drive a heavy vehicle like that 10,000 miles the way I have and look at the treads on my motorhome, and they look like they're brand new. They don't look like they've worn one bit.
For RV owners, back road drivers, city delivery fleet operators, and other light truck users, Bandag retreads are tough because of the way they are made and the way they are applied to the casings. From the Parker 400 off-road race in the Arizona and California desert to the streets of Chicago, light truck owners are finding no worry driving with Bandag's tough treads for light trucks.
This is a film about speed. It's been put together for truckers, about truckers, and with the help of truckers. It's intended to be shown to truckers only. It was, in a sense, written by drivers, guys like Don, Jim, Ken, Mike, Dave, Merle, and Opie. Guys like you, who behind a brittle windshield and a thin sheet of magnesium push their rigs along the interstates, and every day come jam up against the problem of speed.
Well, I pulled out of Pittsburgh, rolling down that eastern seaboard. I got my diesel wound up, and she's a-running like I never before. That's the speed's on ahead, but all right. I don't see a cop in sight. 6 days on the road, and I'm gonna make it home tonight.
The old man's been getting a lot of flack from people who say they see our trucks speeding. He says we need to do something about it. Now, you guys are the best drivers we've got. So I'm laying it on the line.
Thank you.
What can we do? Got any suggestions?
How about a new safety supervisor?
Okay, Harry, I asked for that one. But I'm serious.
Okay, all right. Now, the first thing I'd say then is this. You know, with the 55-mile limit, cars are slowing down. That means they're traveling closer to the speed of trucks now. Used to be they'd zip by us at 75, 80, hardly paying attention to us. But now that they're traveling closer to our own speed, we're getting noticed more.
What that means, Harry, is we're no longer low profile. So we've got to be more careful of our image than ever.
Yeah, well, I think what Art's saying is right. If they see one truck going over 55 miles an hour, a lot of four-wheelers jump to the conclusion that all trucks are speeding.
Come on, what do you mean I was going too fast, Mary? It's not how fast a guy drives. It's how good a driver he is that's important. How fast a guy's going doesn't cause accidents. It's all those other things.
What this guy is saying is that speed doesn't cause accidents. I'm curious. You guys think that's true?
Whether it's true or not, nobody can answer that question.
How so?
Well, think about it a second. As Art says, what that guy was saying was that speed by itself doesn't cause accidents. Well, can you have speed by itself? I don't think so. The word speed doesn't mean anything unless it's tied to something else. For instance, 45 miles an hour on the Wolf Creek Pass could be speeding. 45 miles an hour on wet pavement could be speeding. Or 45 on the Dan Ryan Expressway at 5:30 in the afternoon could be speeding. But on a dry interstate, I don't know.
Okay, we hear what you're saying. But speed has to be considered in relation to conditions. That's where the phrase too fast for conditions comes from.
I got a DOT report just this morning that supports that. A woman and her 2 children were killed because the driver, who was bobtailing, didn't think 45 miles an hour was too fast to hit the brakes on his tractor hard on wet pavement. Now, I don't think that most of us consider 45 miles an hour as speeding. But this time, it was.
Okay, let's admit that speed's a relative thing. That it depends on other factors.
The point is this. Driving too fast for conditions can kill people. Here's an article I cut out of the paper. It says about 56,000 people die every year in this country. And it's now believed that over 1/3 of those deaths would not have occurred had at least one of the drivers not been speeding.
Or as you guys say, driving too fast for conditions.
The truth is this.
more than 18,000 persons are killed every year on the highway because someone was pushing a car, a rig, a bobtail, a camper, or himself just a little too fast.
Well, I think it's this sort of thing the old man wants you to get across to the drivers, Art.
You're right, Phil. 18,000 dead. That's a heck of a price to pay for a few hours extra time. But it's just statistics. And I don't think statistics mean much to a guy. If we just had some way to bring those statistics to life, it might mean something. Well, let's get out of here. Ah, boy. I'd like to let you fellas go now, but I wish you'd come out to the office for a while. I got some things I want to show you.
Okay.
I got statistics. Boy, have I got statistics. Too many. If there was some way of showing that woman and her 2 kids crushed to death in their car because a truck was traveling too fast to avoid crossing the median and wiping out 3 lives. If we could just show this driver, who may speed once, but once too often. If we could just show the drivers that speed wipes out lives every year, it might mean something. But just to give them a bunch of figures, I don't know. Well, see you out the office. You coming with me, Phil?
You know, I think most drivers know when they drive too fast. Even the good ones do it sometimes. We all know the possible consequences. We see them every day out on the highway, right here in these photos. You know, I think we got to dig real deep into why a guy speeds. And you know what else I think? I think lots of times it's because most drivers, God love them, are too friendly. I don't get it. Let me try to explain what I mean.
How about it, Big White? You got ears? What's road like between here and Phillipsburg? This is that Arkansas Traveler in the eastbound reefer. How's it look ahead of me?
Gotcha, Arkansas Traveler. This is Carpet Charlie and Big White. There was an accident outside Phillipsburg about 2 hours ago. Rig turned over on the curve and it dumped fuel over the highway. They'll have it cleaned up now. There's a big four-wheeler stalled on the side of the road about 10 miles back, and there's another one helping him, so you might watch out for them. The highway's good, though.
Thanks, Carpet.
Well, what's wrong with that? A driver using a CB to check on road conditions ahead and getting the latest report from a trucker who's just been over it.
Well, I don't know there's a thing wrong with it. I'm just suggesting that there could be. Look at it this way.
How about that southbound tanker there? How about it, southbound? You got ears? You got the old Wild Red here and a possum belly bull hauler heading north. Come on.
Got you, Wild Red and the possum belly. There's old Smokey in his hole just south of the chicken coop on 291. He's taking pictures. But from Harrisonville north, the road's clean to KC. No bears anywhere. How's it look going toward Joplin?
No, I haven't seen a Smokey now in about 75 miles or so. But there's a rag top just ahead of you. He's got a set of ears, and he can kind of keep an eye out for you. You let him shake the trees while you rake the leaves, and if you can pick up a set of ears behind you, why, you'll be sitting right in the old rocking chair.
So you say if a driver uses CB to speed and becomes one of the 18,000 killed every year in speed-caused accidents, then the friendly tip he got from a fellow driver wasn't any favor. As the old saying goes, with friends like that, who needs enemies?
Right. Just comes down to attitude in the end. Like, sometimes driving is a way to let off steam. A lot of guys use their rigs to, you know, get across some kind of feeling. It's his way of saying to another driver, boy, you sure make me mad. The driver sees he can't get around the car that's going 5 miles under the speed limit. This irritates him. So what does he do? He tailgates, which is his way of telling the little blue-haired lady driving the car in front of him, the speed limit here is 55. Why don't you go that fast? You're driving me nuts. The more irritated the driver gets, the more he tailgates, which is his way of raising his voice. Now he's shouting, you're such a lousy driver, you ought to be moved off the highway. Now the driver is screaming his feelings at the woman. That'll teach you to block me.
So I don't think speeding is the real problem in a lot of cases. It's just a symptom of the problem. The real problem is the driver's feelings. When he lets his feelings overcome his professionalism, when he communicates his feelings through his driving. Now, can you imagine a commercial airlines pilot doing that? Well, a commercial truck driver is a professional, too. And I think we should remind even our most experienced drivers that they're piloting a $70,000 rig with a cargo worth up to $1 million.
Along with what you're saying, John, I think another reason some drivers tend to speed is just plain driver attitude.
Now, you guys aren't so old you've forgotten what it was like when you climbed into your first rig. And how many really good drivers have you talked to who told you things like...
When I was a new driver, I used to think the best speed was flat on the floor. I was running a big piece of equipment, so I'd tend to bully. I'd come up on a small car and think I could bump him right off the highway. It was mean, you know, a gut thing. I got the feeling I owned the highway. Later on, when I got more experience, I could tell a young driver by the way he passed me. It's like he was saying, "What's holding you up?" I'd look at him and see myself a few years back.
When I first started driving and went through a town, I thought everybody was looking up at me and thinking, wow, so I'd wow. Now when I realize there are still a lot of guys with that same attitude, it makes me want to slip down in my seat and hide.
I don't think I really tried to learn how to drive a truck. Really had the right attitude towards things like safety and courtesy and speed until I was about 30. Then I got rid of that big-headed feeling and settled down to do a job. This new crop of young drivers we got coming up seem a lot different. Seem more mature, more responsible. I guess they're getting better educated all the time. I don't know.
I didn't start thinking speed and safety until my kids started to grow up. What if someone killed them on the highway? Or, God forbid, an accident that I could have avoided. Killed my next-door neighbor, my best friend, or his kids.
A lot of things affect a guy's speed. Maybe he leaves the house mad because his wife's complaining he's never home. Or maybe she's bugging him because he never takes her anywhere. That's probably why most accidents occur the first hour of driving. A pretty good indication the driver's mind is on something else besides his speed.
Personally, I feel wives ought to attend safety meetings with their husbands. Anyway, in my case, if I'm upset about something, I just talk myself out of it. Even if I only put into words what's bothering me, it helps. That way, I don't let my personal feelings interfere with my professional judgment.
Well, thanks a lot, fellas. You brought up a lot of points that I can talk about with the old man. And I'll see you at the next meeting, if not before. In the meantime, drive carefully, because I'm going to be on the road myself.
All right. See you, Art.
See ya.
See you, Art.
Come on.
Take it easy. You want to have one? Yeah.
There are a lot of other interesting facts, of course. For example, it's a fact that half of all fatal accidents occur at speeds of over 50 miles an hour. It's a fact that since the 55-mile limit, highway accident death rates have gone down by about 25%. The facts also suggest speed and fatigue are linked. At least we know there are almost 50% more accidents on Friday, the last of the week, than on Monday when the week is new. Speed and fatigue may also be related in the fact that more than 6 out of every 10 accident deaths are single vehicle accidents. But the most important fact is this: truck speed depends entirely upon the drivers who drive those trucks. That's why their attitude is so vital. As an industry official said, the truck driver's brain, muscle, and nervous system are directed toward one thing: moving a 35-ton mass of metal across great distances. You can screen drivers, you can train them, but in the end, you have to trust them. In the vast majority of cases, that trust is well placed. In preparing this film, we found the representative truck driver a mature, responsible professional, a credit to his industry. He performed his job scientifically, objectively, conscientiously, and with an emotional detachment that prevented him from reacting immaturely to the careless acts of drivers with a less professional attitude. The big difference is this: a trucker lives on the highway. It's not just where he works, it's where he lives. 5 or 6 days a week, maybe 2 or 3 weeks at a time. So it's more to him than getting from one place to another, like with most people. The road's his home, which means that guy in the other lane isn't a stranger. He's part of the family. Your family.
I'm Bob Bondurant. I'm going to take you for a ride on Bandags. So let's buckle up and go. Since I've had my school, I have to teach everything. And before I can teach it, I have to break it all down into a step-by-step form of training, which I've done. And I find when you're teaching, you become more aware and more acute of what the car is doing, what you're doing, and I feel right now I'm probably faster than I was when I was racing full-time because I know a lot more, and I have a lot more knowledge and car feel behind me than when I was racing. And when I can take a car out and run it, and you feel how the tire works. You feel it through your hands, through your seat, through your legs, and make yourself at one with the car. So when you go into a corner and say it understeers, it means the front end sliding, you know, you're going to lose some time. And we put the Bandags on, and you don't get the understeer. The car really sticks well. And you just drive on through the corner. Down into 4. Braking, braking, trail braking into the apex, stand on it. Running my school here, all of a sudden I started thinking about the cost of tires. And on a Z car like this, we would go through a brand new set of Goodyear bi-splay tires in about 7 days. That's about 250 miles, which isn't a whole lot of mileage. And I started calling around and found a dealer up here in Santa Rosa, Downey Tire Company, and they came up with the idea of a Bandag retread. Well, I'd never heard of Bandag before, and I thought, gee, what's a Bandag? And they brought some Bandags out, and we did about 3 weeks of tire testing. Long downhill, left-hander, goes around and around and around. We ran 7 seconds a lap faster on the Bandags over the Goodyears, and that's a tremendous amount of time. Usually if you do a second or a half second faster, it's quite a bit. And in doing the 7 seconds a lap faster, we also now get 1,200 plus miles out of a set of Bandags as compared to 250 miles. We run our Zs really hard, and all the training that we do, every time these cars run, they run pretty hard. They probably get run harder here than anyone would ever run them on the highway. To run this school properly, for me, is doing the best quality work we can do, and both our training, the car, tires, wheels, everything we use is top quality. And for me, the Bandag retread, anyway, is really fantastic, because it works. A little slippery out here today, new paving, but these Bandags still work good. Yeah, super car feel the tires working all the time. Set it up here for 10, you can feel the tires, sidewalls deflect, over to get your adhesion, and away you go. Okay, we'll come on in. Down in the pit lane here. Sears Point is probably one of the most difficult circuits to race on. And our Z cars really handle this thing super with the Bandags, because you get maximum adhesion working for you, which is exactly what we're looking for. And we also get good tire wear out of it. In fact, we get fantastic tire wear. Anytime we can get 1,200 miles out of a set of tires that you used to get 250 miles out of, you're doing okay, and especially we're 7 seconds a lap faster. So that's hard to beat. How'd you like your ride?
This is no ordinary race car. It's the Pollution Packer, a $110,000 rocket-powered missile designed for one purpose: to move down a quarter-mile drag strip faster than anything else on wheels. At speeds of 300 miles an hour or more, the tires on this rocket car have got to be tough, capable of taking centrifugal forces of up to 65,000 pounds, trying to tear the tread from the casing. The crew is preparing the car for high-speed test runs to try out a new kind of tire. The tires? Retreads. That's right, Bandag retreads. A new kind of retread so tough, we wanted to prove it on the world's fastest dragster. Once the Bandags have been mounted on the car, the tricky fueling operation begins. A final check of the gauges, the braking chutes, and the tires, and the car is ready to be pushed onto the track. Driver Vern Anderson will do a few burnouts first to make sure the car's 3,000-pound thrust rocket motor is working perfectly. Then a series of runs, working up to an expected top speed run well in excess of 200 miles an hour. There's a quick burnout now. The car is moved up to the staging area and the starting line. Electronic Christmas tree starting lights will be used, along with special electronic timing gear to record the speed and elapsed time of each trial run. The caution lights go on. When the green light flashes on, Anderson will blast off. A good first run. Speed, slightly less than 150 miles an hour, far below the car's potential and the toughness potential of the Bandag retreads. The car is towed back to the pit area and prepared for another run. How did the Bandags perform? Beautifully. But will they be able to do as well at more than 200 miles an hour? The car is ready now for its next run, this time before a full crowd. Again, the pollution packer is pushed up to the staging area, then to the starting line. The amber light comes on. Any second now, the green light will flash. Anderson is off. It looks good. He's really moving this time. And the run is over. Now let's see how he did. Speed, a new track record of 259.54 miles an hour. Time, a scant 5.44 seconds. And just a few weeks later, Anderson set a new state land speed record in Albuquerque, New Mexico, with a run of 322 miles an hour. How did the Bandags do? Again and again, these amazing retreads performed beautifully. How can a retread be that tough? That's one of the most interesting stories in modern tire history. Back in 1958, the Bandag Corporation discovered a way to make tire treads even better than new tire tread. Bandag's method is simple. They make the tread before it's applied to a casing in giant tread presses that generate from 4 to 7 times the pressure of ordinary new tire molds. Bandag dealers then apply this tough, dense tread to a casing by a patented method that creates a bond between tread and casing so strong it actually becomes the strongest part of the tire. And because the Bandag process eliminates excessive heat, casings stay stronger and last longer. Bandag retreads are so tough and strong, in fact, that they've been in use for years by some of the largest trucking fleets in the world, by heavy-duty off-road equipment operators, and by some 70 airlines and air fleets operating worldwide. Bandag passenger tire retreads have been proved over 10 million miles in test track and taxi fleet use, in some cases getting up to 70,000 miles per tire. They've been traction proved by an independent test track, outstopping the best traction new tire available by 3.5 car lengths from 35 miles an hour on wet, slippery pavement. And now they've been high-speed proved on a rocket car at more than 300 miles an hour. Just think for a minute. You get performance-proved reliability plus a written 25,000-mile, 25-month guarantee, only from Bandag. And because they're retreads, you know they cost only a fraction of what new tires do. Remember the name, Bandag. It's going to change all your ideas about retreads.
It's a warm Monday morning, late in January. Temperature, 71 degrees. You're in Phoenix, Arizona. This is Fast Track International Speedway, and for the next 3 days, one car will wind, twist, corner, and accelerate both the oval and the Trans Am racing courses, reaching speeds of over 160 miles per hour. The reason? To prove beyond the shadow of any doubt that the tires it rides on are revolutionary. They're retreads, Bandag retreads. For better than 2 years, Bandag retreaded tires have been tested relentlessly. Their racing history is one of face-to-face confrontation with tire brutality, where only the most durable survive. Twice through the famed Baja, twice into the rugged Parker 400, and once through the colossal Mexican 1000. In all of the testing, there was never a Bandag failure of any type. Not one. Next, traction and cornering tests at the Pikes Peak Hill climb. They proved Bandag retreads as tough as anyone in the competition and a top finisher. How strong is the bonding process? Those state records accelerates from 0 to well over 300 miles an hour and does the quarter mile in under 5 seconds. It ran the entire 1974 season on the same set of Bandag retreads without a tire failure. There were no problems with Bandag. Now, the supreme test, the one that proves it all. Durability, traction, cornering, and bonding. Trans Am driving. At the wheel of his 640 horsepower Corvette for the next 3 days, SCCA championship driver Denny Long. Long finished 4th in the 1974 national standings. We asked Denny the inevitable question. How do you feel about running on retreaded tires?
A lot of people think retreads are bad, and I suppose they have been in the past, but the Bandag retread's not bad. What I know, I'm an engineer myself, and what I know about chemistry and physics, it looks to me like it's going to work. I'm not worried about the tire coming apart at all. If we can keep the tire temperatures down, we're using a street tire, a street tread, a street compound, what the people buy, put on their cars, is what we're using here, and we're not sure how it will act. I know it won't come apart. It might not stick as good, might not be able to stay in the turns as good, go as fast through the turns, and but we'll find out. And that's what we're here for.
Out onto the 1 mile Indy Oval for the first day of testing. The Phoenix Oval is considered by many of racing's great drivers to be one of the fastest 1 mile courses in the world. But today, for Long and his ultra-power Corvette, lap times are not the quest. He'll begin by getting the feel of the Bandag passenger car retreads he's running on.
The punishment they're taking here is as bad as you can do anywhere. It's a heavy car, it's a bank track, you're always in a turn. They don't get much of a chance to cool. That's on the oval. On the road course, of course, they run cooler, but we'll never punish this tire anywhere any more than we have here. I wouldn't be afraid to try them at Daytona if we run over 200. In fact, we might even do that.
Engineers and crewmen continually check the tires for heat buildup, toe in, toe out, and camber settings, shock settings, even chassis adjustments are discussed and recorded along with the other technical data.
Right rear is around 170.
You're running approximately 5 degrees warmer is all.
I can run 5,800 on a back stretch there and high.
Can you?
Yeah.
Well, that's
about 150.
Yeah, that isn't too bad.
Don't read me that, but we've already had them up to 100. Whatever that is, on the computer.
See, we're like about...
Day 1 draws to a close with the Bandag retreads showing no conceivable signs of weakening or wearing.
About 150 on the back straight over there. Around about 6,800. That isn't too bad.
The second and third days of testing. During these 2 days, Long races at full speed. Winding, twisting, turning, gearing, braking, even sliding through turns over Fast Track's 2.7-mile Trans Am course. During every pit stop, the Bandag retreads are closely scrutinized and examined for any traces or signs of faltering. There are none. Now the afternoon of the final day. Long is about to attempt 2 daring endeavors. First, he will make an all-out assault on Fast Track's lap record using, remember, not standard racing tires, but the Bandag passenger car retreads. Long's fastest lap falls only seconds short of the track record. Remember, on passenger car retreads. And now, on a continuation of that same run, Long does what only a driver of superior concentration and ability could attempt. He goes beyond the controllable limit. He'll roll into turn 1 at high speed and lose it. The tearing force, the heat buildup on tires in a 360-degree skid is violent. The Bandag retreads survive, and with no problems.
Beautiful! Did a 155, Dan. Good. Awful fast. Well, we'll get your coat.
I knew we were... Oh, yeah, give me something.
3 days have ended, and Long has definitely earned his pay.
Super run. It was good.
I knew we were getting in there, because when you get up to the limit, you feel it. It feels right. You know it's there. And it was good. That was good.
Tires smell good. What do you think of those tires?
Huh? I'll race anywhere on them anytime.
We're behind you.
Good.
Oh,
man.
Boy, I'm tickled to death.
I haven't worked this hard in a long time. That's worse than racing for 12 hours.
Testing is over, and Long, who was optimistic from the beginning, is himself amazed.
You asked me today, Bandag retreads, I think, are fantastic. Like I said before, I'll race anywhere, anytime on them. What we did in this testing, we abused them as much as we could, more than you would really when you race, and we didn't have any trouble, no trouble whatsoever.
Tom Riding, a chassis design engineer who was part of the test team.
In a passenger car tire, I guess the way I'd look at it is look at the initial investment of the tire. Retread's a lot cheaper than an original equipment tire, and what we've seen here, these tires perform as good as any original equipment tire. So if the guy wants to waste his money, he can go out and he can spend money for a new tire or get it retreaded for half the cost or a third of the cost, whatever it costs, because the performance is there. I think we've shown that right out here today.
Even Long's crew members found the Bandag retreads somewhat unusual.
Well, to be honest with you, and I'm not just saying this, I think they were fantastic. I had my doubts about it when we got here. I mean, I wasn't afraid of the tire, but I didn't believe that they'd do quite as well as they did.
I know what a racing tire will do, but what these would do, I had no idea, and I was really amazed at it.
Well, I would tell them for the price of them, they couldn't beat it with any regular tire. They can buy a brand new stock tire. Isn't going to go any farther.
You're a little skeptical, you know, because of the retread, and until Bandag explained their processes to us, and after the first couple laps on the track, I could see there's going to be no problem at all.
I tell them, don't be afraid. They have a process that seems to be quite different than most retreads, and I think probably this is their secret.
What's been proven here in Phoenix at Fast Track International Speedway and in all previous testing is this. The patented Bandag process for the retreading of tires is the finest known today. And when you offer a better way of doing something, the world soon begins beating a path to your door. Bandag, the world's finest retreaded tire.
What channel?
4 or 5 minutes of news. They just filmed it for 6 o'clock CBC, and I'm going to be on live tonight. 2 radio stations, so we cover.
Done any ABC stuff, television, or anything like that?
Oh yeah, no, I've done it in the
You've done
past.
that,
Yeah, I've done it with Cosell and. What? You don't know? You don't know, really?
I'm going to find out, though.
You better find
I
out.
will.
No, I imagine they do. If they're got any kind of transportation company such as that, surely knows that Bandag, as I say, baby, they're the best. What? That's right. You want to say hello to Tyrone? Are you enjoying this open house?
Certainly.
Well, that's good. That's good. And where are you from, sir?
Bandag, Idaho.
Bandag, Idaho.
I'm
Well,
a
that's good.
Bandagian, yeah.
It's good to have you drive all the way up here. Really,
Yeah.
really. My rider, huh?
Yeah, he's one of them. I want to
Yeah.
thank you. That was seen it hair straight.
Hey, he said you messed up my hair for me. Where are you from? You around here?
From Langley.
Langley.
Down around Modesto and Merced.
Yeah. It's a nice country down there. You're
Well,
trucking
used
up
to-
here, are you?
No, I'm managing a bus company right now. I
man-
sold my truck. That
What
old
bus
freight
company?
liner,
Not
Fraser Valley Bus
Fraser
Company.
Valley. You guys run Bandags, right?
Oh, yeah. All of them.
I race the 14th in Prince George, 21st at Calgary, 28th at Edmonton truck drags, but that's about all the racing this year. Yeah, there's getting to be. Yeah, getting to be an awful lot of.
I've been looking at the car books, I guess.
Well, the car.
Oh, man.
You run those Bandags?
Yep, I have for years and years ready.
Yeah.
I just got some
March, and I haven't been home, folks. You see a little white trailer out front? That's my home on the road. Although I have a nice home on the golf course in the States, truck stops in the cafes, and I talked to truckers, and this is what I came out with. This is what they told me to order. He said, what are you going to haul with this truck? I said, I'm going to haul a dead whale. He said, what are you really going to haul with this truck? I said, I'm going to haul a dead whale. He said, how are you going to pay for it? And I said, cash. He said, don't give a damn what you haul. Went to get the truck. It took about 3.
Stacy's Surrey closeout will soon be over. Stacy's Mini Warehouse and Showroom in Surrey, 10166 King George Highway, across from...
It's certainly a pleasure for me to be here at this open house at D&D, but I imagine you've been at quite a few in your travels.
Well, I've been with Bandag for 5 years, and Marianne, we've literally traveled every place. You know, we've been to Australia and Europe and all of the States, and now finishing at 23 places in Canada. And the open house at the end of every year, the first of the year, if they attend these workshops and they really pay attention and want thousands of people at your open house, you can have them. But remember, we're the pros.
Well, believe me, it works. Thanks very much, Tyre.
Thank you, Marianne. It's nice being here.
Bye-bye.
To you and your members of staff, I congratulate you on this, and I'll take the scissors and officially open your expansion.
Here we go with the super balls. Or 22 million people in Canada. We've had to reach one way or the other, maybe 25% of them. I would say that probably truckers that personally came to our open houses, 5,000. I would say truckers that came the next day, maybe another 5, 6, 7,000. And who knows how many they've talked to that seen us going up and down the road or talked to us on the CB. But it's a very good program. I think my trucks, me.
You know, my tour in Canada, gee, you know, I had my 50th birthday up there. As you can tell, the array of gifts is pretty boring, you know. Hockey sticks, gee, you know, on the boat with all the lobsters you could eat. Yeah, don't do much down, just a little bit. Short place, so. Okay, I'll make my path.
I don't want the GM engine to do it on its own?
Nah, well, it will, but we tear the concrete up.
Yeah.
Think I've been asked that before?
First thing I want to do, Tom, is get...
Follow me, I'll go back to the freeway. Follow me.
I want to go to this campground. Oh.
You guys are doing now. You guys are doing now.
Huh? What? Hey, ask when this thing is gonna start. Ask somebody when it's gonna start. What?
Yeah, I got to be there at 11:30, about 25 minutes away before you get somewhere.
There we go.
Smokey Bear ain't around. Not there. I gotta try this Bandit out. It's a fantastic truck. No way am I gonna go to Bonneville till I really know what she's gonna do. Today at least 125 or 30 and we still got a year to go. Fantastic. Let's go, baby, let's go, let's go. Turn it on, here we go. I'm sort of. Be careful over this hill. I gotta watch him. Run along here about 75, and when I see him, I'm gonna let him have the damnedest chase he ever had in his entire life as a Smoky. I've always wanted to blow the doors off a Smoky, and now I'm doing it. You think this will hurt my driving record very much if he does catch me? Tell me, go on ahead. I passed you guys about 105 there.
Did you get that, Hess? That thing just whistled. Sure.
Oh, they're talking. They'll be talking for 500 miles.
I got Brent here.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah, damn straight. I've been on these before.
just cruise along up here. You guys.